Welcome back, everybody. The History Guy here. This is episode 6, playing as the reborn Soviet Union in the modern-day mod for Hearts of Iron 4 Millennium Dawn. If you're new to the series and you have not seen the first 5 episodes, there's a link in the description below that will take you to episode 1 so you can get all caught up in what's going on. Trying to keep these episodes between 20 and 30 minutes to keep them short and bite-sized. We are into the year 2007, and just to catch up on what's been happening, my Soviet Union has conquered some nations that were formerly part of the Soviet Republic, most notably Ukraine and Kazakhstan here. We've also now gotten a faction that involves Romania, now Italy, who is communist and part of my faction, and of course Sweden up here. Right now there's a war going on, a civil war in Austria, to decide whether or not that nation will be communist. As of now, I have not been able to join that war, so they're fighting on their own. So we're going to see how that all shakes out. We're also starting to justify a war against France while we're simultaneously building up. Actually, we're working on a coup there in France, and we're simultaneously building up the Communist Party there so that we can swoop in and help them out. But that's about a year out. That may be the point at which I go to war with all of NATO. We will see. Well, that was an unfortunate waste. They would absolutely not, under any circumstances, let me join the fight. And unfortunately, it ended. So fascist Austria continues to exist. They were not able to win that war, even with Italy jumping in on their side. Just for whatever reason, they would never let me join their side. So if you're aware of a way that I can change that, I'd very much like to know, because I have no idea how on earth it is I'm supposed to get some of these countries to let me join their war so I can come in and help them actually win their civil war. It's kind of a strange thing. I just expected that as soon as I added them to my faction, they would allow me to do that. But it just doesn't seem to be the case. So we turn our attention to France instead. Since our doorway to Germany has been blocked, I've gone ahead and moved my troops onto the border here, and we're going to start waiting for that. It is March of 2008, and the Communist Party is up to 24% now in France, and we're waiting for December 11th. So that's a war that's going to start in the winter, but I think we should be in good shape and ready to go once that happens. All right, so here's some good news. It's April 2008, and while the nation of Austria, as we know it, the communist nation, ceased to exist, the war does continue between the other communist powers in my faction and Austria. And finally, I have been invited to join that war. So we're going to go ahead and shift our units. Hopefully we can do this quickly enough to get them back on the border for France before December. So we're going to go ahead and shift my Central European army over to the border with Austria, and we're going to turn the tide on this war as quickly as we possibly can. And then we'll see what happens. So it's May now, and fighting in these mountains is pretty brutal on attrition. We've inflicted 107,000 casualties. I've lost 40 myself. Obviously, we outnumber them greatly, so it's really a matter of time. But I may need to speed things along here just a little bit. We've got a couple different places we can do that. And we're going to go ahead and drop some nukes in the mountains of Austria. Oh, it's glorious. Funny thing is, it doesn't look like it did much, which I guess makes sense since they're in the mountains. Looks like France has some units in here helping defend Austria. We're going to go ahead and nuke them too. That's the whole reason I have nuclear weapons, is to use them. And as I mentioned, I think in the comments, I may have also said this during a previous video. Obviously, if the world were to react to the use of nuclear weapons the way that it would in real life on this game, I would never use them, but they're not going to do that, so I'm going to use them. Nobody has nuked me as of yet. Of course, I'm not at war with any nuclear powers. Now, that could change when we go to war with France, because they do have nuclear weapons, and they may have more than I do. I've only got 14 of them right now because I've only got 3 nuclear reactors. May need to ramp those up. But the war is progressing. I've lost 54,000 men. He's down to right around 100,000 left in his fielded manpower. So this is going to hopefully come to an end fairly soon. Once we get out of the mountains, it should be just kind of a mad dash for Vienna. And then I can get my troops back over on the border with France. Middle of June 2008, it's coming to a close pretty quickly. As I expected, a mad dash for Vienna. Looks like there's some German troops in there helping to defend as well. So Germany and France have troops in there defending Austria. China sent 15 divisions to me, but they're over in St. Petersburg and not really in a position to do much of any good. But they'll come in handy in the next war, I would imagine. So this should be just about done. We're about to take Vienna. And she will fall now. Come on, there we go. I'm guessing that's about it. So yeah, there we go. Alright, so now let's see what happens. We can't quite take all the states in Austria, and I'm not really inclined to. I'm almost rather inclined to puppet them and allow them to become part of the Soviet Empire in that way. No, I don't want to take the states. Let somebody else have them if they want them. I guess Upper Austria is going to be mine. Is that how this is going to go? Alright, I guess that's how this is going to work out. So let's take a look. Lower Austria is the Workers' Republic of Austria, but this half here up in the mountains all belongs to me. So now we've got to reset. I think I'm probably going to leave at least one army on the border with Germany just in case they decide to jump into all of this. I'll put the rest over here on the border with France. I've also got a whole army group over here on the borders with Poland and Hungary in the event that NATO does jump into this war full force. And I've begun the process of constructing several more nuclear reactors. I've got 3 more going right now. That'll double the number I have and double my production of nuclear weapons to 6 a year. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, so it's December 10th. We're about to see this coup kick off. Hopefully I'll be able to join this one. Soviet Union has successfully staged a coup in France. The fire of revolution now burns. French Commune goes to war. Let's go ahead and invite them to our faction. Looks like Marie Buffet is the head of Communist France, so that's cool. Let's go ahead and continue working on our naval research. So French Commune, southern half of the country. Of course, northern France has the rest. And that is part of NATO. So we're going to go ahead and redraw our lines so we can move our troops in. Oh, they haven't accepted my... There we go. Now we can do it. Let's move the army in. Let's take a look and see how this stacks up as far as the army goes. So France has got about 3 to 350 in their manpower. Half of that for the French Commune. So obviously they're going to need our help. I just really hope they'll ask for it before it gets too late in this situation. Of course, I can't join the war because of the usual situation. So we're going to do our thing. We're going to justify a war against the United States just to drive up world tension. And then come on back over and see if they'll let me join the war. Of course they won't accept, but maybe at the very least this will get some of the other allied countries into the war. It looks like so far not. Alright, I guess we'll watch and see how this shakes out and hope that France does not very quickly roll over them. Alright, so this is kind of a big deal. We just saw a nuclear weapon go off in Venice, so that tells me that other countries have obviously joined into this fight. Let's take a look and see what the situation is, because I think we were about to see World War III. So thus far, Italy, Romania, and Latvia have joined in that war. Fielded manpower of about 500,000, but they're up against 4 times that number. So we can see here Czech Republic, France, Iceland, Portugal, Greece, Cyprus, Luxembourg, Turkey, Poland, the Dutch Union, and Hungary are all now at war. They're just waiting on Belgium, Canada, and Spain. So basically it's NATO versus communist France and Italy and Romania at this point. So I guess it's only a matter of time before I get invited to join this war, and then it's going to be crazy. All right, well, no sooner had I stopped recording than I got that invite to go to war, so here we are. We are now in France, and we've got kind of an interesting thing happening here with some of these divisions, so hopefully we can surround and destroy them quickly. We're going to push north with this army group. We've got to now look over here to the east, because I'm sure that the next step is that I'm going to be at war with Poland. I also need to take a look up here. Okay, the Washington Pact, nothing to worry about up there right now, but obviously Hungary is a concern, but I've got troops on their border as well. So let's go ahead and find where those are. Which army group? I thought I had an army group. Oh, it's this one right here. So this is the group that's going to be going into Hungary as soon as that war is official. And then the rest are going to be going into Poland. And I've already got that plan. So let's take a look where are we at so far. No, thus far it's just France in the Soviet-French War, but I'm sure the others are coming. Hey, China's going to send 16 divisions. This time we're actually going to probably need those. So I've got a lot of little things I've got to do here. I've got to make sure that all of my planes are engaged and doing their thing. We'll get the Navy going. And this is basically going to be World War III. Here we go. France is going to start calling their allies into this thing now. But in the meantime, I should have a decent advantage to start out. Prison break! What? What in the world is going on here? We'll spend the political power to reform our prison system. That's fine. He doesn't have a lot of troops on the border, so I guess it's really a matter of whether or not he pours a bunch of allies in. Right now, I've got a bunch of armies that can't move because there's not enough supplies happening here. Call to arms, yeah, so we're going to join this bad boy. We've got one major war going on now. World tension's up to 73%. I guess we can go ahead and cancel the justification on the United States now. Alright, so let's take a look and see. We've got what is known as the Soviet-French War, which now involves Cyprus and Poland. So I guess we can officially jump in with the Russian theater now. Let's go ahead and launch that. We're coming for you, Poland. Oh, there's a nuke. Wow. That was on Kaliningrad. That was my territory. Not cool. Not cool. I don't know who dropped that, but it was probably France. Alright, France, we're going to return the favor, although you don't have a lot of armies anywhere, so I don't really feel like I need to waste my nukes on what he's got going on here at the moment. Let's go ahead and look back at my Central Europe forces. They're still getting into position because there's just not a lot of infrastructure here to allow for the supplies, so a lot of my units are having a rough time getting going. But once they're on the border, they're going to take care of business there. Obviously, things are going well here in Poland. Let's see if Hungary's in yet, because if they are, we can start marching into Hungary out of Romania. Looks like they are. Alright, so let's see where this all shakes out now. We're looking at, wow, okay, so they do have a much higher fielded manpower, almost double, but that's to be expected with the number of armies involved. So basically everybody's in now. It's Canada, Hungary, Portugal, Spain, the Dutch Union, Turkey, Greece, Belgium, Luxembourg, Czech Republic, Iceland, Poland, Northern Cyprus, and France against the Soviet Union, Austria, the southern half of France, Italy, Romania, Latvia, and Sweden. Alright, so that's where things stand. I may need to bring down these troops from up in the north to help out with this. I gotta wait for these 16 divisions from China to arrive. They're gonna come in about a week and a half. And what's happening here? Looks like I'm getting invaded from all the Czech Republics in this thing too. So let's go ahead and move this army that's on the border of Germany. We've got to shift them over to the border with the Czech Republic because that's where we're actually at war right now. And then I'm going to also go ahead and rapidly deploy these other folks, get them assigned to that army so we can build that army up a little higher. And then I'm going to go ahead and start working on my Navy and my Air Forces, make sure everybody's where they need to be, and we'll see how this works out. Alright, so I established air superiority over here in the Czech Republic. It's one of the only places that I see a lot of divisions in one place, and so that's where we're going to drop the nuke. But again, in the mountains, it definitely does not have the effect it does elsewhere. Meanwhile, rapidly rolling into Poland, they're going down quickly. I've got some of their divisions surrounded, which means we're going to destroy them. We're moving up into France. Soviet Austria, meanwhile, has capitulated. There was very little to that country, and that's the way that Hungary chose to go. I don't have a lot of armies here because I'm marching in from the west. So we're going to take Hungary this way while he is moving in to take Austria, which is fine, not a big deal. We're going to let Italy deal with that. We're also going to rush those Chinese divisions into place once we get them there. But France and Poland are both going to capitulate sooner rather than later. So let's take a look at what's happening with the Navy here. So we lost 1 corvette, but I sank 12 destroyers of the enemies. It looks like this is Poland. Also shot down some aircraft, sank 3 subs as well. So I've got a pretty nice Navy going right now. So that should be good. Let's take a look at the situation. 50,000 casualties on my side, 96,000 on his, which I desperately need because I've got to drive down his advantage in manpower. So the sooner I can do that, the better. So here late in the year, we have an attempt at a naval invasion over here in Ukraine, Crimea specifically. So we're going to send the Navy out to deal with that. We've got a major battle going on in the Black Sea right now. You can see huge numbers of forces on both sides. It looks like we've got some Spanish. I guess that's Spain. No, it's Greek. So we've got a Greek Navy here in the Black Sea trying to bring on an invasion. So I've got to go ahead and bring my Far East army over to kind of occupy, to garrison against any possible invasions that come by water here in the Black Sea region. That should pretty well cover it. Moving nicely into Poland. I'm about to take his new capital since we overran Warsaw a long time ago. I'm starting to push up into France, though. It looks like some naval landings happening to try and mess things up here. There's China's divisions. Let's see what's happening here. It looks like we're going to need to rush these Chinese divisions into place as quickly as we can. So, no. All right, so we're done with that. Let's go ahead and assign the Chinese divisions to, I don't know where. Well, I'll figure that out. So I've dropped a few nukes. We're into January of 2009. Things have slowed down now on the northern part of France, but we are getting close to Paris. Got some pockets of resistance down here in the south, but really nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, over here, we're very close to taking the new capital. We've surrounded and destroyed some units of Polish troops that were caught back here. Let's go ahead and take a look at where things stand now. 146,000 casualties for me, almost 400,000 for him, and I think a lot of that was from those divisions that I just surrounded and destroyed. A lot of it's Polish. They seem to be the ones who have lost the most thus far. They've got between 400 and 700 divisions, just 300 on my side. Obviously a lot more manufacturing power, but not nearly as big a discrepancy there. And if I can knock out Poland and France, I feel like I even the odds a little bit. This naval battle continues to happen in the Black Sea. You can see the massive losses on both sides. Almost 100 ships lost on the enemy side. Meanwhile, I've lost a lot of destroyers, but for the most part, I've still got the big ships. My missile cruisers, my carriers are still largely intact. So things are going really well for me in the naval battle. That should remove any threat of a landing in Ukraine. So we're going to continue the onslaught here in Poland. I think Poland will fall within a couple of weeks. France may take a little longer because that's where the Allies have loaded up a lot of their troops, but I still feel like that's gonna end up going my way in the end. I'm not entirely sure why the French Commune has all these troops down here on the Italian border that could easily be up here helping me fight the war that really matters right now, but that's the reality. So France and Poland, it looks like Hungary's starting to lose some territory as well, so I'm marching in this way to deal with them, just trying to hold my own against the Czech Republic in the meantime. 14th of January, we're on the gateway to Paris, about to enter Paris. We're about to finish off Poland. Both capitals are going to fall within probably a week or so. Let's take a look and see. That's primarily just Polish divisions. There are a few German divisions in there helping out, but I don't know who's going to fall first, but it's looking really good right now. 500,000 losses for him. We've closed that gap tremendously by inflicting 2-to-1 casualties so far. Let's see if we can take Paris out. It's about to happen. I'm going to try to rush that along because I want to see that happen right here. Yeah, it looks like they think it's going to hold out another week or so. Let's see how it's happening in Poland. All right, real close on Poland. We're currently invading the territory right in front of their capital. Pretty much taking all of their territory as well. Romania's gobbling up Hungary, even though it's mostly my troops that are doing it. No, it looks like it's a nice mix. There's some Romanian troops in there. I feel like Italy's just not doing a lot right now, but maybe they are, and I just don't see their troops. So it looks like allies are kind of hanging out on the edges right now while I go for their capital. So we'll wait and see. We'll see which one falls first. Could be any time. All right, January 27th, Polish People's Republic has capitulated. We gathered up some nice little amount of equipment from that. Meanwhile, France is kind of a mess. They have come up through, I forgot that Spain was part of NATO, and through Spain, they have really just wreaked havoc on the southern end of the country. So even as I was in the middle of trying to take Paris, they've come up and actually encircled a few of my allied units and taken them out. So here's the situation now. Now the fielded manpower starts to look a little more manageable. We've taken out almost 700,000 of his men. Canada's really the big problem because they've got a big chunk of the divisions that are in the field. We've got to try to deal with kind of just settling things down in Poland now, get them occupied. We'll push down in here, take out the Czech Republic and Hungary. And once I do that, it's just a matter of leaving some occupation forces over there, and then we can shift everybody over to the western side and kind of go from there. But I'm going to wrap it up right there. I think that's probably a good spot to stop. Let me know your thoughts. That's kind of the strategy, is cleanup action here in Poland, finish off the other nations in the east, and then rush everybody to the west. That should work. I know that smacks of a little bit of Germany's strategy in World War I. Fight on one side, then rush everybody over to the other, but I think it's going to work. So we'll see. Let me know your thoughts. Please hit that thumbs up. Please subscribe. Check out some of my other videos, especially my preview of 2019 video if you haven't already. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.